Hi, this is your host Swapnil Bhartiya and welcome to another episode of Mainframe Matters. We are here at Open Mainframe Summit in Philadelphia, and today we have with us Sharra Owens-Schwartz, your Vice President of Inclusion, Diversity and Equity at Rocket Software and a member of Making Our Strong Community Stronger initiative. Sharra, first of all, it's great to have you on the show.
Wonderful to be here, Swapnil. Thanks for having me.
First of all, let's talk a bit about this, the whole discussion we have around diversity, equity, inclusion, because mainframe community, mainframe technologies have been around for, they predates us sometimes.
Yes.
So if you look at the folks who are there, because sometimes technology, they also become culture, right?
Yes.
And people have been there for decades there.
Yes.
So, and now suddenly we are in a world where people are much more aware. So first of all, just talk about how do you look at this community from DEI perspective?
Yeah, great question. So now is the first time that we've had 5 generations in the workforce, right? And so from a diversity, equity, and inclusion standpoint, it's actually very exciting for me because we look at, and while we never want to generalize, we have such a diverse group of people in the organization, in our organizations across the industry, that we have to look at diversity, equity, and inclusion in a very, very tiered and strategic way to be able to reach out to everyone. When we talk about equity, what does that mean? What does that mean for this generation versus the next? And then within that, we have varying levels of identity around race, gender, ability, sexual orientation. So it's very complex and wonderful, and we get to really be strategic about how we look at diversity, equity, inclusion. And if it's a business imperative, it's embedded in everything that we do. And at Rocket, we certainly do distinguish this as a business imperative.
This could be an odd question, but since you're here, I do want to ask about it. Like mainframe, it has been around for so many years. It has been serving a very critical role in today's modern economy. Why should it bother with diversity, equity, and these are technologies? Why should they concern themselves with these social issues?
Yes, fantastic question. And yes, we're talking about technologies, right? But who is developing technologies? It's the people, right? So we want our people to be engaged. We want them to be innovative, right? We want our companies to grow. And in order to do that, we need to invest in people. We are really talking about people as individuals. And what we found out from the data is that when people feel like they belong, when people are included, they are going to perform better within the organization. They're going to be able to make better decisions. If they know that their unique perspectives are valued, then they're going to be better employees. So these are the reasons why Mainframe needs to really invest, right? When we talk about the diversity piece, when you bring in diverse perspectives, those decision-making qualities for the organization skyrockets. So it's the right thing to do, but also, there's a great business case for this. Companies just perform better when you have more inclusive and diverse workforces.
Right, and also compared to the early days of mainframe, today the workforce is, people are coming from all around the globe.
That's right.
And also a lot of democratization is happening where, different, fields of life people are coming out.
Yes.
And sometimes, people, they want to feel that, hey, I don't belong here versus this is where I belong, because when I look around, it doesn't matter who I am,
right.
This is my place. So that also is very, very critical, because if your workforce doesn't feel that they belong there, they will not remain there for long, or they will not feel, kind of as committed as they should be.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is that really speaks to making strong communities stronger. We're a collaborative initiative, and when I start naming, I'm going to make sure that I get everyone. Along with Rocket, There's Broadcom, BMC, IBM, Virtual Z Computing, Tech Channel, Open Mainframe, all coming together to really make sure that we're raising awareness and education within the mainframe industry. This diversity, equity, inclusion is critical. And if we're going to be sustainable and continue to expand, we really need to your point, make sure that there is a space where people belong and they feel like they belong. So we have to raise the awareness that this is critical. It's critical to the sustainability of our industry.
If I ask you to just go a bit deeper into the mission, the goal, the agenda of make our strong community stronger initiative.
Yeah. So that's exactly what we're looking to do. We're looking to meet the needs of the industry, to educate, to build awareness through different vehicles. What we've been doing so far is we select different areas of diversity. And we've been having these amazing webinars where we've been including different people in the industry. We talked about most recently neurodiversity and the diversity that you don't see. And people came together from the industry and really talked about what that meant. Because we see diversity as something seen. We see gender, we see race, we see these things, but there are so many levels of diversity, and we really want to bring that to light so that everyone in these spaces can be included, so that we can have awareness that these varying levels of intersections actually exist.
You touched upon some, because this is kind of from human civilization's perspective, this is still evolving when we talk about race, gender, a lot of things. But going forward, there might be a lot of other things where people will associate themselves. We don't know yet, right?
Yes.
When we live in a world which is much more diverse. So since we are here at a point where we are trying to make some societal changes at a fundamental level.
Yes.
So what approach that you think we should embrace so that we don't have to do this fight again like 100 years or 50 years from now, that we are again, so that we lay some bricks, some foundational stones that we will become a very welcoming, inclusive community or society or civilization where, it's 2022. We should not even be talking about these topics.
Right. I wish we were not and it were just a given. But one of the things that I think is really important to lay down as a foundation. And I think we'll continue to talk about this because there are, as you say, we are living and breathing and transforming as humans, right? And that is happening all around the world in different ways, right? But I think what is critical for organizations and then drilling down to teams is this concept of psychological safety. I think if we can make sure that our people are safe, right? They have expectations around what it looks like to fail, what it looks like to make a mistake, and know that they're going to be okay. They can express wild ideas, and their wild idea may be very relevant within a cultural aspect, or even for whatever they're interrogating now. So for people to be able to be themselves, show up as their authentic selves, have an expectation of what that's going to look like, and not be penalized for being different or saying something different or taking risks, right? So I think we build that foundation for psychological safety. We can embrace so many different differences that come our way and how we evolve.
When we do look at the vision you just shared, Can you talk about who are the kind of stakeholders? Right now we are not talking at the political level, but we are talking at the corporate level at least.
Yes.
Who are the stakeholders who can play a role? I mean, actually, I think everybody, all the way from the top tier CEO to the employee who's joining, because it's more like everybody has to change their attitude when it comes to. It's not like, you know what? Oh, I'm your manager, so it's only my responsibility. It's both ways, because you also have to understand the perspective of your manager. But managers are somehow which can be a bridge or a block. So what advice you would have for managers, so that, of course, everybody has our own limitations, I mean, the more exposed you are to something, then you learn about it. But, we cannot all go on word to word for 2 years to learn. So we can have something in practice, so it doesn't matter who we are talking to. We are welcoming, we are respectful, we are inclusive. So what advice you have for, such kind of, leaders, so they can, start embracing these practices?
So here's the thing, and I feel strongly about this, and not just feel strongly, what I've seen is effective in organizations is that you absolutely have to have the buy-in of the CEO. Because whatever the CEO says is important, people will follow suit. Your executive team will follow suit all the way down. So that is the most critical. I believe that this work needs to happen, as you were saying, from the top up and the top down and bottom up, where you have that participation. But it needs to start there, because you need to have the role modeling. You need to have the establishment that this is a business imperative, and this is really something that is interwoven into all of the practices, procedures, processes in the organization. So that's where it's critical to start. And, managers can start this on their own by, but without that support, that is really the critical piece, and it cascades down throughout the organization.
But as you said, the work is just getting started. We should not be, but we are here. If I ask you, what kind of trends you are seeing? I don't want to put a tag that, hey, we want to see things in 5 years, because what COVID taught us was don't talk about time frames. But are you seeing positive trends that you are kind of comfortable that, yes, we are moving in the right direction? Or you still see some friction and you feel that, hey, we may not be there in 5 years. It may take us 10, 20, 30 years. What do you see?
Right. So a particular thing I think that we need to pay attention to, and it's not moving quickly. We have men and women make up about half the population, half and half. But what we do see is still there's an overrepresentation of men, and white men in particular, in the C-suite. And so what I would like to see, what needs to happen, is that there is more representation from women in the C-suite, and particularly women of color in the C-suite. And what we know is that when you have more diversity, you make better decisions. It affects the bottom line. And I mean, and that's proven. Studies over and over, hundreds of companies around the world. When you have more diversity in the executive suite and in senior leadership, you outperform those companies that don't. So we've been slow to do this, but this is a conversation that we need to continue to have and actually take action on. And if we want to be successful, businesses operate to be successful, then this is exactly what we need to do.
Sharra, thank you so much for taking time out today, and of course talk about this topic, and also share some vision that we should have, especially as you talk. It could be bottom up, top down, but everybody is stakeholder. We have to bring this change. So thanks for sharing those insights, and I would love to have you back on the show. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.